Trump wants to declare his health crisis over and unemployment solved. Unfortunately, he's deadly wrong on both fronts. We've already had more than 128,000 dead, and the number keeps climbing. That's a direct consequence of Donald Trump's bungled leadership and the total mismanagement of this crisis from the start.
All right, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Carol Lee from the White House. Joe Biden's message is pretty clear, and he's sticking to it. I'm just wondering where the White House is this morning, Carol, in terms of how much their multiple messages defy reality, whether it's the coronavirus or the economy or scandal like Russian bounty. Do they understand they're running uphill, very steep uphill, or are they in tune with these messages?
I think it's the former. There's a lot of people around the president who understand that they're running uphill on Mika, and it's not, if you just take coronavirus in and of itself, there's a growing concern. It used to be the president was on one side and medical experts were on the other, and there was debate within the administration in that sense. And now that's really broadened. You have a number of people around the president who are increasingly concerned that this is going to get worse and that their biggest liability is the president unable to get on a message, and that he keeps undermining efforts by saying things like the virus might just disappear, which they all dread when he says, and saying that this is all because of testing. And so, they had a really bad June, and a lot of it was self-inflicted by the president. There's a recognition of that here at the White House, and there's a hope that they can turn the page in July, particularly after July 4th. I think you'll see them focus on things like the low death rate for coronavirus, for instance. The coronavirus task force meetings are coming back, and there'll be more briefings. But again, they can do that all they want. Is the president going to get on board? Because every time the president's team comes up with a plan on how to message on this, how to convey to the American people the seriousness of this, he comes in and he undermines that.
Well, and a great example of that, Carol, of course, was this weekend when he tweets a white power video and they can't get in touch with him for hours. And by that point, other people in the administration are retweeting it. He's always been very difficult to manage. He's always been very difficult to handle. Do you get a sense from talking to your sources inside the White House that things are getting worse?
Well, in terms of the white power incident, Joe, we reported earlier this week that there was a real scramble, and they couldn't reach him on the golf course to take the tweet down. They couldn't get into his Twitter account to remove it. And so it took, as you said, several hours. I think what the recognition is look, Donald Trump having a bad week, having a bad stretch is tale as old as time. It's not new. That's been going on since he came into office, since the campaign, really. The fact that this is happening 4 months before the election is what's really worrying people. That makes every week, every month very significant. In our view, he can't afford to have these sorts of stretches because it's so close to the election. And there's just this frustration that they keep having, it's Groundhog Day. They keep having the same conversations, the same approach, and they have a principal who won't get on board with what they want to do.
All right. Wow. NBC's Carol Lee, thank you so much from the White House. And Donnie, it's a bunch of self-inflicted wounds, and they're obvious wounds. Again, I can't repeat this enough because it just shows how illogical every move he's making is, how self-defeating every move he's making, whether you talk about on the coronavirus. He sides with the 20% of Americans that want to make wearing masks a culture war, while 80% of Americans want the masks to be worn because they want to stay healthy. They want businesses to open up. Goldman Sachs was talking about how if everybody wore a mask, just the hundreds of billions of dollars it could save this economy. This is about business. This is about health. This is about, and he's on the wrong side of that. We've talked about, he was pushing to reopen schools a month or two ago when 80% of parents said they would not send their children back to school. You could talk about the race issues where 80% of Americans believed that the marches were justified. Donald Trump was on the other side of it. Again, just put everything aside as far as what's the right thing to do, what's the moral thing to do, and just look at the politics of it. And every single day, he's hurting his own cause. Every single day, he's damaging the reelection prospects of Republican senators in swing states. Every single day, he's moving this country more close. Donald Trump is moving this country closer to a Washington that's going to be controlled by Democrats next year.
Yeah, you know, that character that we know as Donald Trump, it was interesting. The 2016 election, nothing stuck with him about his character. The difference now is his character is affecting us. His character is causing deaths by not doing what's right. His character is causing the economy to be where it is because of his non-reaction. His character is inflaming race relations. So it was an abstract thing in the past. Now, everything he's doing, every wrong move does not sit isolated. It affects you, me, our families, our grandparents, our grandchildren. And I keep coming back to I see this in an ending that we have not anticipated, we have not thought about. I don't see him going the distance. It is a suicide mission he's running. And stay tuned for these next 3 or 4 months, because I think history is going to be written in ways we haven't seen it before.
Well, you know, and that's what I think. That's why this pandemic has been different than everything else. You know, he could lie about his personal life, and he did. He could lie about payoffs to porn stars that were crimes, and he did lie about that. He could lie about Robert Mueller. He could lie about what he did or didn't do with Russia. He could lie about Russia. He could lie about almost everything. He could lie about Ukraine. Americans are like, okay, he's not a good guy. Stock market's doing well. My retirement's doing well. My small business is doing well. I'll let everybody yell about that on cable news. I'm worried about my business. My small business is doing better than it's been. And so that's fine. Americans that supported him could move that to the side. This pandemic, though, impacts everybody. This pandemic impacts people in blue state, red state, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. We've said it all along. He can't lie about it. And as I've said for how many months, I don't know how many months now, that when he lies about the pandemic, a senior citizen in Arizona, a working mom in Florida, a single dad in Wisconsin, they're going to go to their doctor and they're going to say, what do I do here? I hear the president saying that this is a media-generated hoax. What do I do here? And the doctor will tell them to be careful. I wonder how many doctors are pleased that a governor of a state is bragging about the fact that there's not going to be social distancing, bragging about the fact there aren't going to be masks worn, bragging about the fact they're going to do everything that the medical community has begged them not to do. Yeah. You see, that's, as Ross Perot loved to say in '92, that's where the rubber meets the road. That's where the lies are called out and shouted from the mountaintops politically. That's where Donald Trump can't outrun his lies, because those lies are having a serious impact on the health of Americans.
The pandemic forces the truth to come out, and the truth in this case hurts everybody equally.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.